Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another video on this channel, Hardcore Spirituality. How's your heart? How is your heart today? Is your heart kind? How's your mind? Is your mind calm and clear? Let's talk about the third step. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. Now, you remember the other day when I mentioned, I asked you, did you ever wonder why the steps are written in the past tense? Did you ever think about why the steps are written in the past tense? They're written that way because if you had the opportunity to ask one of those first 100 men and women that recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, if you were able to ask them, how did they recover? Well, as it pertains to this step, you would say, well, what do you mean about, turning your will and your life over? How do you do that? Well, how does that happen? Well, they would say, well, we made a decision. We made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. Our will is our wants, wishes, and desires. Our will is our wants, wishes, and desires. Our life is our experiences. So they're telling us they made a decision at some point to turn their wants, wishes, and desires and their life experiences over to the care of God as they understood Him. I'm emphasizing that. As they understood Him. I'm going to tell you what I think, what my experience is, how I feel. How does a newcomer understand God? How does a newcomer understand God? Well, maybe they have some religious training. And the big book explains, a lot of us had religious training, but it didn't help us. So the only God that helps alcoholics, you could say, that newcomers learn about is the way you describe God to them. How would you describe God? Well, they're listening, I'm sure. And if the conversation is about step 3 in God, you're describing God as you understand God. For me, I understand God today differently than I did when I first arrived at 12-step meetings. For the first couple days, maybe a week or two, could have been longer, I still had the urge to drink. My first sponsor was an angel sent to help me heal, not just from alcoholism, but problems other than alcohol. So I'd call Mike and say, hey, this is back in '88. I still have this urge to drink. By now, though, even at a week or 2 weeks, remember I said in a video the other day, back in '88, there were like 4 meetings a week in a 35-mile radius. So we would have to travel out of the area. He would pick me up, we'd go to a meeting, we'd come home, and along that way, he got to know me. He talked to me. He let me talk to him about things that had nothing to do with a step I wasn't on yet. He would not say to me, "Oh, you're talking about a resentment you have. You're not on step 4." He never said that. He'd discuss it with me. So we'd have these talks to meetings and talks back. So he got to know me. So when I called him and said I was still having an urge to drink, he might have said something like, "Well, you know how to pray, don't you?" And I did. And he would say, "Why don't you ask God to remove that urge to drink? It worked for me." He was making a suggestion. His suggestion was, why don't you ask God to remove that urge to drink? Just ask him. I said, okay. Now, we didn't go to meetings every day. Like I said, there were like 4 meetings a week within a 35-mile radius. I remember calling him up and saying a day or 2 later, "Mike, I haven't thought of a drink for 6 hours. Excuse me. And he'd say to me, "Well, how did that happen?" I said, "I took your suggestion and prayed and asked God to remove that urge to drink. And it worked." "Okay," he said, "keep doing that." So time went on. And after a week or 2, I called him up and said something like, "I haven't thought of a drink for days." "How did that happen?" he'd ask me. And I'd say, "I did what you suggested. What worked for you. I asked God to remove the obsession, the urge to drink. And it worked. It really works. It's a couple days I didn't think of a drink." I remember distinctly what he said to me. Well, that same higher power that removed that obsession to drink could help you with other problems. So my point is, a newcomer only understands God the way you've described how God is working in your life, with problems other than alcohol. In the big book, you can look this up. Just Google AA, alcohol was only a symptom. In the big book, it says alcohol was only a symptom. We had to get down to causes and conditions. Well, what could they be? In the 12 and 12, in the 2 steps on character defects and shortcomings, and I believe it's in step 7, it talks about character defects and shortcomings that made problem drinkers of us in the first place. What could that mean? Character defects and shortcomings that made problem drinkers of us in the first place. Well, we self-medicated when we had problems. I'm not saying, there's a lot of information out there. Is alcoholism a disease, an allergy, this thing? Just put that to the side. Let's say you said something, acted inappropriately, did something really inappropriate, you got caught, and then you couldn't deal with it, you got drunk. That's what it means. So we're talking now about the impression people at AA meetings give to the newcomer, who is this God that they understand? Okay? You know, the one my sponsor suggested I pray to remove that obsession, that urge to drink. And then he said that same higher power could help you with other problems other than alcohol. Well, how does that work? And he started to take me through the steps. Because I was already practicing everyday step 3. I was turning my will and my life over to the care of God every day when I said, God, remove the obsession, remove the urge from me to drink. And it worked. I became willing to continue to do that. What kind of higher power creator are you? What kind of impression are you giving? What kind of impression are you giving to newcomers about a higher power? And the book does say that it could help solve all our problems. What kind of impression are you giving when you say to them, don't drink, don't think, and go to meetings? On the one hand, people are saying, if you think of a drink, think it through. If you think of a drink, think it through. On the other hand, people are saying, and it could be the same people, don't drink, don't think, and go to meetings. Well, which is it? You want me to think a drink through or don't think? Words are powerful. When you tell a newcomer, don't drink, don't think, and go to meetings, you're telling that newcomer to turn their will and their life over to meetings. Not God. Not God as you understand God. Well, I take that back, because maybe God is telling you, don't drink, don't think, and go to meetings. I had a sponsee a while back, and he said, I can't grasp this, this God as I understand him thing, like what you people talk about in the rooms. And I said, well, if I was to ask you to, describe God as you view him now, he would say, well, he did say, I was raised in, I think he was raised a Protestant, And we started to talk about the Protestant religion. And then he says to me, oh, I understand God from my religious upbringing. Is that okay? I said, sure. If you understand God right now as the God you learned about in the Protestant religion, that's a start. Every day, I turn my will and my life over to the care of God. Every day, I turn my wants, wishes, and desires and my life experiences over to the care of God. Mostly through step 11. But I ask God every day to bless my thoughts, bless my actions, bless the people I come in contact with. Every day. Sometimes, a lot of times through the day, I'll continue to say, bless my thoughts. bless my actions. You know, I don't want to get involved in destructive and useless activities. I don't want to harm anyone with my words or deeds. Every day I turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understand God. How do I understand God after 20 plus years of walking this spiritual path? I know today if I make conscious contact with God first thing in the morning, as I've explained, I wake up, go to the bathroom, get dressed, grab a coffee, I go outside, sit for 5 to 10 minutes. This is my meeting with God. I have a meeting with the higher power, the creator, the divine, first thing in the morning. I don't turn on TV. I don't turn on phones. I don't start playing video games. I don't start watching porn. I don't go on Facebook. I don't do it anyway. However, albeit nonetheless, I get up, go to the bathroom, get dressed, have a coffee, get it, and take it outside, sit for 5 to 10 minutes. And then my thoughts slow down. You really can't ever stop your thoughts, but they slow down. And when they slow down, I collect my thoughts and I ask myself 4 questions. This is how I'm turning my will and my life over to the care of God. I'm having some structure. I'm involved in creating my day. What do I need to do today? What should I do today? What do I have to do today? What's most important? I'm having this conversation with the divine. What do I need to do today? What should I do today? What do I have to do today? What's most important? I'm collecting my thoughts. In a way, you could say, I'm getting control of my mind before it starts going crazy, and I don't do all those things I mentioned because I know what happens when you start that. Nothing good. I've described it in other videos. I know if I do that every day, I'll most likely have a good day. And most days I do. Rarely do I go off track. It happens. But I know what to do in step 10. Review what happened. Did I remember in morning meditation that I shouldn't have said that to that person? That was offensive. Oh, what's the most important thing to do today? Well, make an amends. And I know from step 10, I make that amends, then I go and sit in silence and I think about the situation all over again and ask myself what I could have done differently. You know what? I was in a hurry yesterday and I didn't sit in meditation and collect my thoughts. I was like off to the races. I didn't calm my mind down. I didn't have a meeting with God first thing in the morning. Won't do that again. Won't let that happen. These things. God, as I understand God, has changed since I was a newcomer. I ask God to bless my thoughts. Do you understand what that means? I don't want to have negative thoughts. I don't want to have bad thoughts. Bless my thoughts. I never told a newcomer, don't drink, don't think, and go to meetings. Never. Never. And neither did my first sponsor, Mike. He passed away. He got a liver transplant after a few years sober and spiritual. It lasted for a while and things got bad. He developed diabetes and it got bad. But that man was an angel. That man was a saint. No bullshit. So in the beginning, the God, that I understood was the God that he understood, which Well, we both went to Catholic school and had nuns. We won't get into none of that. But we kind of had that. And we drank. We drank together in high school. But he understood. I understood where he was coming from. And I understood because I had no way to quit drinking. I couldn't fathom it. I tried so many times. Haven't you? I say I stop. I'm going to stop. I'm not going to drink for a week. Well, I drink for after 3 days. Well, I'm going to drink today. I'm only getting a 6-pack, but I'd get a case of beer. These things. But I understood God in the beginning as my sponsor's God, who removed the obsession to drink, the urge to drink, and helped him with his other problems. He never went to meetings whining and complaining about anything. In the beginning, I whined and complained to him a lot because it was part of my story. It was, you get sober and you don't drink to kill the pain, and all these things become real. So he listened to him. But after a period of time, he would say, well, that should be on your 4-step list. Oh, that's a resentment you should put on your 4-step list. Oh, that's a fear. That goes on your 4-step list. Sex conduct, that goes on your 4-step list. That's a character defect, John. That's a character defect. You address them in 6 and 7. No, you can't make that amends right now. I'm glad that you realize that you should, but not right yet. We want you to do it for all the right reasons, because when I did it, he said, I was sincere. I had a psychic change, a profound personality change, and I realized that part of staying happy, joyous, and free, or what it says in the foreword of the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, the 12 steps are principles spiritual in nature that, when practiced as a way of life, will expel the obsession to drink and enable the sufferer to live happy and usefully whole. I don't know if you watched that last video, but what you say at meetings matters. What you tell newcomers matters. If you, and it's common, have a lot of time and you're coming to meetings complaining and whining, well, this lady I was at Wise Markets bumped me in the back with her cart. I was driving down here to meeting and someone almost ran me off the road. Do you believe what my wife said to me this morning? When you're doing that, you're teaching a newcomer that meetings are therapy sessions. Nothing about the steps. Come to meetings and complain. Nothing about the steps. When the lady bumps you in the back with their cart, you pause, ask for quiet, and say, thy will, not mine, be done. Do you have the discipline to pause? A lot of people don't practice the steps. My first sponsor told me that right off the bat. When I first got to AA, a lot of people don't practice the steps, but I do. And from my own experience, I've said this 33 years, a lot of people admit in meetings they don't meditate. You know what else happens when I go out on that deck in the morning and sit there for 5 to 10 minutes, collect my thoughts, and ask those 4 questions? I'm developing patience. I'm developing discipline. I can sit there now, I couldn't at first, for 5 to 10 minutes, sometimes more. get involved in creating my day and have the first meeting of the day with God, my higher power, my creator. I'm developing discipline. I'm developing patience. I'm getting control of my mind in a way. I'm not off to the races. So if I'm in a line at Wise Markets and somebody bumps me with their cart, usually it's old ladies, sometimes old guys, I don't flip out. I just say to myself, oh, they bumped me with their cart. I'm probably not paying attention. I can do that because I spend the morning, my first meeting, my meeting every day, first thing is with God. I get involved in creating my day. I slow down, I calm down, I'm not off to the races. And I don't plan my day around a meeting. I'm vigilant all day long in this manner to do self-examination, because you know what happens with those people that go to meetings all the time and whine and complain? After a period of time, they start making excuses for bad behavior. They're making excuses for acting out in anger. Every day, I still, to this day, 20 years plus, turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understand God. Because I understand when I do that, I have a good day. I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully, Johan out. Peace.